In this week's video, I'm going to talk about the biggest mistake that health coaches make when they are starting and building their business. And this is probably going to surprise you. It's not going to be what you're expecting, but you're going to want to know this because it will not only change your ability to be successful in your business, but also in all areas of your life. So the biggest mistake I see health coaches making when it comes to building their business is being afraid of making mistakes. Yes, being afraid of making mistakes. There is not one certain thing that is the biggest mistake. It is literally being afraid of making mistakes. And being afraid of making mistakes is the number one dream killer for everyone. And I'm going to explain why in this video. So there are four main reasons, okay? So the fear of making mistakes will keep you stuck in indecision, which I also like to refer to as analysis paralysis. So when we get stuck in indecision, we are deciding not to make a choice. We are deciding not to choose. And when we do this, it is a huge waste of time and energy because we spend all of this time thinking about it, thinking, should I do this? Should I do this? Maybe I should do that. And while we're doing that, time is continuing to go on by and we stay stuck in the same spot. Nothing has changed. And the truth is that decisions are made in a second, always. We may be going back and forth, like thinking about it, but ultimately all decisions are made in 1 second. And often we already have all of the information that we need to make a decision. And then you just decide and you go with it. And I say it's important to like the reason why you're making your decision. And then the only way to find out if that is a good decision and if you like that decision is by deciding and moving forward. It isn't by sitting there and thinking about it and contemplating it forever and ever and ever, okay? So you know who you are, but if you get stuck in this indecision, analysis paralysis, let me know in the comments below. And no, you're not alone. So the second thing is it gets you stuck when you're afraid of making mistakes. It gets you stuck in inaction, also known as procrastination. Okay. So when we are afraid of moving forward, we often procrastinate and we find lots of good reasons as to why we cannot move forward right now. And a lot of things that we have to do before we can move forward. And ultimately, this is just prolonging the time it's going to take you to accomplish something, and it's keeping you stuck and most likely frustrated. So check in with yourself and see if this is something that happens to you where you just get stuck in inaction. You might be spinning and you're just procrastinating and you're putting it off. But when you're afraid of making mistakes, this is a big thing that happens, right? You're like, what if I do it wrong? So it's better just not to do it at all, okay? So the third one is perfection. And raise your hand if you are familiar with perfection. I know a lot of us are. But once again, it's the fear of making mistakes, and we want to do things perfectly. And I always tell my clients that done is better than perfect. When you are shooting for perfect, you never get anything done because perfect is a unachievable expectation. Okay. And the people who make the most progress in their business, in their life, are not shooting for perfection. They're shooting for maybe a B, okay? B quality work. And that is really what helps you move forward, is being like, it's okay if I make a mistake. I don't have to be perfect, but it's more important for me to actually move forward and make things happen than it is for me to make things perfect. Okay. So check in with yourself. Are you getting stuck in perfection? The fourth piece is fear of criticism. And often we think if we make mistakes that people are going to criticize us. And the thing is, most people don't really care if you're making mistakes because they're so consumed in their own life and their own mistakes and what's going on for them that they don't really give a crap what you're doing. And if they do, they must be very, very bored with their lives because they don't have very much going on if they're worried about you and your mistakes and what you're doing. And they're obviously not going for their dreams if they are keeping track of other people's mistakes, okay? And you will really realize this once you start a business and start going after the things you want. Like, you don't care what other people are doing in their lives, like, because you're going after what it is you want. And that is all that matters, okay? So check in with yourself. Are you afraid of what people are thinking when you make mistakes, okay? So those are the 4 reasons why, if you have a fear of making mistakes, that you are just going to be stuck and that this is going to be a huge mistake. The mistake of being afraid of making mistakes, okay? So now I want to check in with you. Just let me know in the comments which of those are holding you back. And then what I want you to realize is that what we want to do when we're moving forward in our business and really in any area of our life is we want to always be learning and understanding. And the only way we can do this is by taking action and moving forward. So all of this comes through taking action. It does not come through sitting and waiting and contemplating. We learn through trial and error. And so we must take action to make things happen. And it's like learning to ride a bike, okay? So that only happens through action. You can sit there and you can read all day about how to ride a bike. You can watch YouTube tutorials on how to ride a bike. You can ask a friend, how do you ride a bike? But you'll never really learn how to ride a bike unless you go out there and you start practicing riding that bike. The same thing is for your business. You will never learn how to run a successful business unless you go out there and you just start taking actions. And just like riding a bike, you may fall in the process, and that's okay. And when you're working on starting and running a business, you're gonna make mistakes. You're gonna have failures. You're gonna have things that don't work. And that is okay. That is part of the process. But you have to go out there and start doing it and taking action in order to make it happen, okay? And the 5th thing I wanna cover is just that the more mistakes you're open to making, the more success you will see. And if you look at anyone who has true success, they've made amazing things happen in the world. Maybe they're making amazing money, however you're viewing really like success and what you want as far as success. Those people are the ones who take the biggest chances, and they make mistakes probably all day, every day, and they're willing to do that. And so I want you to just recognize this, and that your willingness to make mistakes, I think, is directly related to the success that you will see in your business and in all areas of your life. So the thing about making mistakes too is you learn how to course correct. You learn how to get to that target that you want by making those mistakes, seeing what worked, seeing what didn't work, and then redirecting. And I think that's really important, and it's the best way to do things. And then, of course, one thing that I think is very helpful as well is getting support and feedback from someone who has done what it is that you want to do. Because you're still gonna make a lot of mistakes, even when you're getting support from someone else, even when you're learning from someone else, but you're most likely gonna make a lot less mistakes when you get some support. Same thing with riding your bike. Like if you just went out there and you knew nothing about riding a bike and you just jump on and you go, you're probably a lot more likely to have some stumbles along the way than if you have someone actually showing you how to ride the bike. But no matter what, either way, you're still probably going to fall, you're still probably going to stumble, and that's part of the process, and it's okay. All right? So if you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up. If you want more videos like this, all about helping you start and grow a successful health coaching business, subscribe to my channel, hit the little bell, and you'll get notifications each week when I post a new video. And like I said, let me know in the comments if you find this coming up for you, that you're terrified of making mistakes, just so you can check in and see how this is holding you back. And if you want to dive a bit deeper into starting a health coaching business and growing a health coaching business to 6 figures and beyond, I have a training that walks you through that step by step. I will link it below this video. So I want to thank you so much for joining me in this week's video. Get out there, start making some mistakes, and I will see you next week.